Hey guys, I'm back with another video, and this time we're going to cover, it's all the white people's fault. Well, let's just break this down for a second, because if it wasn't obvious by now, I think it's very obvious. The media, the mainstream media, which is pretty much Hillary Clinton's campaign team at this point, because what's the definition of journalism? Fair and balanced to both sides. Have you seen a pro-Trump anything in the news media? They're trying to paint the guy out like he's a whacked-out nutjob, racist, bigot, grabs women by pussy, rapes kids, just everything under the sun. None of it's true. However, the opposite is true with Clinton, but of course she has the media under her wing, so nothing's ever going to come out about her and her pedophile ring, spirit cooking, Satan worshiping. The list goes on and on. People, you think, look for it for yourself. Go to WikiLeaks and find it. Two names I'm going to mention in this video specifically. It's going to come up a lot. MSM, mainstream media, George Soros. It all goes back to the same thing. I'm going to bounce around all over the map, but it will make sense. I'm not just rambling. If you will, buckle your seatbelt, because this is going to be a little bit of a trip down the rabbit hole. First of all, let's start with this moron, Van Jones. Now, normally, I don't resort to name calling, but this is by far the stupidest thing I think I've ever seen the liberals pull out of, and I'm only going to make a political reference once in this video. Because it's time to bind the wounds, guys. It's time to drop the R and the D, or the D and the R, the red and blue, the blue and red, red versus blue, blue versus red, Democrat, Republican, whatever side of the fence you're on. It's time to come together. Look, America's spoken. Trump won. He won by a landslide, people, a landslide. This is record-breaking. This isn't a decision by one or two states. This isn't some recount stuff like we had with Bush, which a lot of people want to criticize back in 2000, right? Where Bush had the presidency in 2000, 2004, 2008, served 2 terms. It was him and Al Gore in 2000, and Florida wanted a recount, right? The big scandal, Republicans are messed up, Republicans are retarded, Florida's a recount state. Everyone remember that joke? And now Hillary Clinton and some of her supporters, Jill Stein, has raised $4 million so far for this recount initiative. Haven't we been here before, guys? I mean, honestly, haven't we? I mean, it sounds kind of like history is repeating itself, except the table is kind of flipped over. Now the Democrats are the wrong party, that they need a recount. And the Republicans are evil. Of course, the Republicans have always been under the spotlight as the bad party, the bearer of all the bad news, the problem children. The liberals and Democrats, they're more educated, they're more advanced, they're more progressive, they're the good guys. Republican bad, Democrat good, red bad, blue good, red evil, blue, you get the picture here, right? Well, now we've got this popular vote scandal, right? Where they're saying that, well, Clinton won the popular vote. Listen, it doesn't matter if Hillary Clinton had 500 billion votes in California and New York, between New York and California, because there's way more than 120 million people in the United States. It doesn't matter. The Electoral College was set up so that the decision of an election is by the states. Do you see all these states that wanted Trump? If we get rid of the Electoral College and we make this vote a decision of popular vote, what we're doing is we're saying that states like New York and Illinois and California are basically going to rule the rest of the United States. It doesn't matter what Texas or Arizona, Utah, Indianapolis, Montana, Wyoming, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, Montana, Idaho, Kansas, Oklahoma. It doesn't matter what any of those states wanted. What matters is that Democrats, liberals, their lives are over. Everybody, it's time to go run and hide in a corner because your pussy's going to get grabbed. Guys, wake up and stop listening to this mainstream garbage. It's garbage. These people, these rat bums out of San Francisco, Hollywood, Hillary's campaign crew, which is the Clinton News Network, CNN, the Washington Compost, the New York Crimes, the ABC, the NBC, the QRS, the TV, the XYZ, it doesn't matter. It's all the same bias against Trump. You've never seen a pro-Trump anything come out of any of these. And even on Fox News, he's met with intense scrutiny by Megyn Kelly, who I think is a turncoat to begin with, because she wasn't very nice to him during the debates. If you saw that she launched in on Trump with a bunch of these, well, you said XYZ about Rosie O'Donnell, you said XYZ against women. Guys, look, there's a difference between words and then actions. Actions that come out of WikiLeaks. Mainly what Hillary's friends like John Podesta and things that have come up in the Hillary emails, and how many emails that Hillary deleted after she got a subpoena. She got the subpoena, then used BleachBit, which basically is a program that wipes data off of a hard drive to the point where it is irrecoverable, even using advanced recovery programs that are supposed to be able to undo that. It's very expensive. Why would you do that after you got a subpoena if you're innocent? I think the argument should just stop right there. Not any of this, well, it wasn't really legal, it wasn't classified, well, I didn't really know. I've been Secretary of State for 30 years, but I didn't know it was classified. I don't know what the C means. Give me a fucking break, guys. It's time to stop being stupid. Now, I also mentioned this word at the beginning of the video, if you're still with me. George Soros. What does George Soros have to do with any of this? Because we've been all over the map so far, right? Well, George Soros, I think the easiest way to start out with this guy and how it all ties into Black Lives Matter and the Clinton Foundation and all the disruption and all the mainstream media narrative, if you follow me so far, let's start with watching this video about this guy, if you have a few minutes to spare.
Of all the financial titans and philanthropists of the 20th century, none are more complex or mysterious than George Soros. Like Carnegie, J.P. Morgan, and the Rockefellers, he amassed billions through ruthless business decisions, only to turn around and give away most of his fortune to advance his own personal philosophy. He can move world financial markets simply by voicing an opinion, or destabilize a government by buying and selling its currency. He also pledged more aid last year to help people in Russia than the U.S. government.
Which, by the way, Russia kicked him and all his oligarchs out of Russia, and that's why they don't have as many problems as they do anymore. But back to the video.
Did. But now George Soros is worried. He thinks the global economy is coming apart at the seams, and that the world needs to be protected from people like George Soros.
We may now think that everything is fine, but the fact is that the system is broke and it needs fixing.
Which is pretty much the resume of every single James Bond villain if you've paid attention to the plot so far, but I digress.
What you're doing is asking some form of regulation to protect the world against you.
Well, I am a player, and I think all players should be regulated. There have to be rules of the game.
Take 81,000 to buy 48,000. Buy him 69,000 YUM.
Right now, his Quantum Group hedge fund moves $14 billion of rich investors' money around the world every day, looking for profits and answering to no one. Soros makes huge bets on whole countries and economies. Last year, when he saw cracks in the Asia boom, he began selling the currency in Thailand. Traders in Hong Kong followed suit, triggering a financial crisis that plunged much of Asia into a depression.
In the last 2 years, you've been blamed for financial collapse of Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, Japan, and Russia.
Yeah, all of the above that.
Seems proud of himself, yeah? So, I'll have the link in this video so you can watch the rest of this. I just wanted you guys to see his character, and this was quite a while ago because he's pretty young in this compared to what he looks like now. This is the man. I think what you guys have to understand is, you know, who this is. He's the founder and chairman of a foundation, much like the Clinton Foundation, called Open Society. And although this seems really nice and colorful, and, you know, we're giving scholarships to the minority, you know, what about the rest of us? Because I never had any help going to college. I guess only Black Lives Matter, I forgot. What this guy actually is doing is very nefarious and underhanded. And you say, okay, well, I've heard this guy's name before in Politico and all these right-wing, alt-right conspiracy. No, stop. Stop. First of all, the man's name comes up 39 times out of the emails we were able to find in Hillary's email dump from WikiLeaks. And you can say, well, WikiLeaks, this is science fiction. No, it's not. It's right here. Why? Okay. He's referred to in Hillary's. Well, you know, Hillary's the Secretary of State. Okay, what about John Podesta? Because it's 145 results, 1 of 50. So there's 145 of these, and about 75 fit on this page. John Podesta goes to lunch with the man. Now, you could say that if the man doesn't exist, or they don't know him, or the Clintons have no connection to George Soros, you don't think that you would go to lunch with a fictional character unless you were at Disney World. What do you think, guys? All right, are we done being stupid yet? I hope so. I'm moving on. On to my next thing. Now you could say, okay, well, you know, you've gone all over the map here, George Soros. What does this have to do? This guy is sending billions of dollars, only a couple hundred million that they've been able to track so far, but billions of dollars to fund Black Lives Matter, the leader of Black Lives Matter, the violence that is occurring at these anti-Trump protests. For example, anti-Trump protest blocked ambulance resulting in death of 4-year-old girl's father. We say, okay, what does George Soros have to do with anti-Trump? You know, Black Lives Matter, and they're just standing up for what they believe in. No, guys, there's something I think you don't really understand, and I'm trying to find it. Sorry, I've got a lot of links open here. Oh, goodness. Here we go. Let me get this one to load. As soon as this loads, here's the thing. This man is linked, and there's proof. There's proof all over the web. They took a lot of these ads down, and that's the reason why they're so hard to find. I have a couple of them on another video from an archive site that you can check out. I'm not going to mention the link. Here's the number. They were paying people $15 to $22 an hour to fight the Trump agenda. We're hiring full-time organizers. This man is paying the Black Lives Matter protester. These people are professional protesters. They're not like me or any of the other alt-right. They're doing it because we're passionate and we're trying to fight against this evil that is trying to destabilize this country and start World III and a civil war. You guys do realize that we went from DEFCON 3 to DEFCON 5 as soon as Trump won the presidency, right? We changed to DEFCON levels. You can look that up. This isn't fiction. This is not science fiction, people. This is the real deal. This is what they don't want you to know about the alt-right, about the alternative news media, about the info warriors like me. They don't want you to know that we are closer, having a closer understanding of the truth and can combat the mainstream media's lies. These people are being paid. Now, you can say, okay, where are they being paid? Okay, hold on just a second here. They're being paid and led by one of the... See, here's another thing you may not understand about Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter, hashtag Black Lives Matter, leader D. Ray McKesson, but he's one of 3. Now, the third one I don't know. The second one I know is a female, and she is on one of the FBI's most wanted list for killing a cop. Now, here's the thing. If I were to start a revolution, right, and one of the leaders of this revolution to stop police violence killed a cop in cold blood, wouldn't you think that I have lost my merit somewhere? And if you don't believe me, let me do it live for you guys. So you don't think I'm just making this up. No, this isn't the site. Black Lives Matter. I think you can find this on WikiLeaks. Black Lives Matter is an international activist movement originating in the African American community. What they don't want you to know is they're linked to New Black Panthers. And I forget the name, but it's a woman one of these women, one of these three women, I believe, actually no, it wasn't one of these three women. It was one of the new Black Panthers. Anyways, look, the point is, their founder and who they're being paid for is George Soros. And George Soros sets people up like this guy, DeRay, what's this guy's name? Sorry, I'm getting a little off track here, people. Just a lot of information to sift through. DeRay McKesson. And here's what they don't want you to understand. These people don't care about you. He wants you to go out there and start civil war and fuel the agenda, fuel the narrative that America is so against Trump. Look at all these people. They're coming in. They're flooding in. All these anti-Trump movements, but they're being paid. Nobody is doing this willfully. This guy right here is getting paid to be the figurehead of Black Lives Matter, but he's not the founder of Black Lives Matter, and he's living in a mansion. Let's be real, people. If I didn't know as much as I did, and somebody came to me and said, "Hey, I'll give you millions of dollars, and you get access to all this stuff, and you'll be a hero, and you're gonna live in a mansion. All you have to do is just go tweet hashtag Black Lives Matter." This guy probably hasn't showed up to a single Black Lives protest. It's people like these people right here. Anti-Trump protesters block ambulance, resulting in death of 4-year-old girl. This guy, this old man, 3-on-1, being dragged out of his car and brutally beaten and robbed by a gang of Hillary supporters because he voted Trump. I don't think y'all want to watch this video, but it's out there. This has happened. This isn't happening because these are how these people feel. Now, some of this may be actual inspired from Black Lives Matter, but everybody who's actively protesting in the streets are being paid by George Soros and led by DeRay McKesson, if I got his name right. That's the point I wanted to make. And you say, well, George Soros, fictional character, it doesn't exist. What are you talking about these WikiLeaks? It's right here. 39 times NOA emails, 145 pages. Sorry, 145 pages of results for George Soros and John Podesta. This is real stuff, guys. And their main thing is, oh, the blacks are slaves. The blacks are slaves. We're oppressed. We're angry. This whole slavery thing is 200 years old. And if we really want to start pointing fingers at who's responsible for slavery, would anybody think that Brazil was actually the #1 importer of slaves? And the problem, because everyone thinks right now the United States is like the author of slavery. We're not. Brazil was actually the #1 importer of slaves. Brazil had the biggest slavery problem, if you really want to think about slavery. Slavery begins in Portuguese Brazil. They started slavery. Brazil was the father of slavery, not America. Just because Africa sold slaves to the white man, they come over United States, a large portion of them are. Now, I am not defending what happened, nor am I saying certain things didn't happen the way that they did, but the thing is that blacks also owned white slaves. So it's not just a black slavery issue. Every culture was a slave to somebody at some point, okay? Their whole foundation, their whole, I want to say, fundamental thinking, their theology, their thought process, their state of mind is screwed up. They have no merit, they have no credit. They cause more harm than they fix anything. They are puppets, they're pawns, they're minions to destabilize this country and try to start a civil war. And it is fueled and directed by the Clinton Foundation, who she's in bed with John Podesta, Anthony Weiner, a bunch of other nasty, nefarious characters. George Soros, I want to call him the granddaddy of them all because he's the guy with the bucks. Okay, on to my next point. I don't know why I need an update. Oh, that sucks. And you could say, well, There's no proof of this. There absolutely is. There absolutely is proof of this. This was caught on video. This was absolutely caught on video.
It doesn't matter what the frickin' legal and ethics people say. We need to win this motherfucker.
Hillary, like, is aware of all the work that you guys do, I hope.
The campaign is fully in it.
And then they tell Hillary, like, what's going on.
Well, I mean, Hillary knows through the chain of command.
Yeah.
I'm not suggesting we wait around. We need to start this shit right away.
Okay.
On every one of these fronts.
Okay.
What I call it is conflict engagement.
That's your version of reenfranchisement.
Conflict engagement in the lines at Trump rallies. We're starting anarchy here.
This is part one of our undercover investigation.
Now, I'm not going to play the whole video, and this is going to be in the link, and a lot of people try to discredit Breitbart. This is caught on video. They are on purposely trying to start riots and disruption, and people are getting hurt. People critically injured. Some people almost died at some of the riots in Chicago because of the George Soros-funded, Obama-activated, Hillary supporter, radicalized group. I don't think I need to go any further. This is real. This isn't something that, I invented or had to invent, including the man behind the Trump rally disturbance in Reno. This guy was also one of them. I mean, this guy was also one of these paid protesters. They are paying these people. Some of them got paid $1,500 and promised an iPhone if they would start a fight. If they got caught on the media, if they got caught on camera, if they made Trump look bad, they get paid. If they do, if they start a fight, they get an iPhone. There was all kind of incentives for these people to do this. So this isn't just some random act, and people are actually, doing this because they personally feel like there's some injustice. Now, maybe some other people watching this stuff, the point of it is to make people think like the entire United States of America is against Trump, and he's really this bad guy, and there's all these heroes out there, these social justice warriors, these puppets that are actually trying to go out and, stand up against this man. No, this is not the case at all, including this guy that faked like he had a gun and almost Austin Kreitz. Here's some facts about this guy. He very possibly harassed Trump at a prior rally. His Facebook page was only recently set up. He carried a sign denigrating Trump. Denigrating Trump. Cites incited violence and emotional abuse, as mentioned in WikiLeaks. So this is one of their guys that they were using at the rallies. This isn't some random guy. He is mentioned in the WikiLeaks. He's also a Hillary supporter. And Trump nailed it before the incident, saying, "Oh, were you one of these guys paid $1,500?" I mean, Hillary and her beans are so predictable, just like this site says. This is not anything new. This comes up, and actually in a couple of the data dumps. And like I said, I didn't just mention it because for effect. I mean, if you go to WikiLeaks and search for Austin Kreitz, you can find him mentioned in a couple of these data dumps that you can download and see for yourself in the global intelligence files. This isn't science fiction, people. Again, this is fact. And this whole thing kind of revolves around Black Lives Matter, but also kind of goes back to George Soros in a way. And I arrive at this Van Jones guy who says this is a white lash. This is, again, part of the same, if you've been following me so far, this is part of the media narrative. They are trying to make it seem like this is fueled by bigotry and everybody's against Trump, which they failed because it was exposed in WikiLeaks and other alternative right media sites. Now this guy goes on to say that it's a white lash. So now we're going to blame the white people. Everything else has failed. They failed trying to make Trump look like a bad guy because all their paid protests got exposed. They failed trying to steal the election. Trump won in a landslide. They failed trying to make Trump seem like a minority, racist, bigot. Nobody was really going to vote for him. And almost like, like what, 40 states out of the 52 voted for him. I mean, come on, guys.
First of all, congratulations, both of you guys were...
We're not there yet.
Well, you're further than anybody said you would be.
And I love how these guys cop out right before they're about to say something racist.
And I have enough class, and I was raised well enough to say, when you outdo...
Yes, sir, thank you.
When you outdo expectations, good for you. But there's another side to this. People have talked about a miracle. I'm hearing about a nightmare. It's hard to be a parent tonight for a lot of us. You tell your kids, don't be a bully.
Like dragging somebody out of their car.
You tell your kids, don't be a bigot.
Blocking an ambulance, protesting Trump.
You tell your kids, do your homework and be prepared.
Which millions of people were not, and because they voted for Hillary.
And then you have this outcome, and you have people putting children to bed tonight, and they're afraid of breakfast.
Is this guy serious? Van Jones, you're a fucking moron. Do you realize how ignorantly stupid you sound at this point? This guy is basically saying that the only reason why Trump won, because it was a white lash, and our kids are going to bed afraid. Are you serious? Is this like a fantasy football team where if my president doesn't win, my whole identity, my whole livelihood is wrapped up in a presidency? No, it has nothing to do with it. It was nothing to do with her being a woman, because I think it would be a great idea if a female were president, but not one who's broken the law, whose friends are involved in pedophile and nefarious activities and possibly illegal activities and activities which have jeopardized the safety and security of this nation and the safety and security of everyone else. They've sold secrets. I mean, if anyone else did 1/10 of the activities they did, you and I would absolutely be in jail just like Manning is right now, without question. There's absolutely injustice in this country, and it starts with the double standard. Justice for poor people, middle class, justice for rich people, and the elite class. Apparently, the elite class is above the law. Why do you want a president who thinks she's above the law? Just like Obama. We all see what we got with 8 years of Obama, right? Then we have this Nate Cohen guy. Why Trump won? Working class whites. Okay, well, first of all, Mr. Cohen, if you're gonna try to sound racist, then you just basically alienated everybody who also voted for Obama, because in another previous article you said Trump Obama voted. You mean to tell me that all these racist white people also voted for Trump, voted for Obama in 2008 and 2012? You just alienated 50 million people, Mr. Cohen. Look at this map. Everybody who voted for Obama, and now they voted for Trump. So I guess we have to call Florida, sorry, you're now racist because this was an Obama state in 2008 and 2012. Pennsylvania, sorry, you're racist too because you were also an Obama state. And a couple other swing states as well. Sorry guys, Florida's suddenly racist. You would never see an article like this had Hillary won. It would be hailing states like California and New York and Illinois as the heroes, the social justice warrior of victory. And, all the other states, you poor unfortunate souls, it's okay, you can join us. But all you other 56 million Americans have forgotten voice of America. The other states, count them. Pause the video and count it. 306 electoral votes, 232. This is not racism. This is what the Democrats failed. The reason why they lost is because they alienated everybody else that wasn't a minority, that wasn't an illegal immigrant, or wasn't a silly college student that got caught up in this fad movement, aka SJW, social justice warriors, being paid to go protest in the street. So let's apply some logic to this. The average working class citizen, you or I, do we have time to go protest in the street for 4 days straight? Hell, you don't even have 2 or 3 hours most of the time to take your kid to band camp or attend a Monday rally trying to get a day off for your boss. There's no way these people have jobs. They're being paid by George Soros and Black Lives Matter to try to destabilize this nation, to try to overthrow this. And now this recent scandal won the popular vote, even though this is why the whole electoral college was set up. If there were 6 trillion people living in California, sorry, you only get 55 electoral votes. It shall be based upon population. This is set up so that 3 or 4 states could not decide the outcome, could not decide the future of America for everyone else. All these other states, I guess more than half the country is now racist, including those that voted for Obama, according to the same article by Mr. Cohn that's now calling all white people racist, pretty much. Good job, New York Times, or should I say New York Crimes, you garbage filth media. It's just garbage, people. Do I sound passionate? Do I sound crazy? No, it's because I'm trying to wake people up. I'm not crazy. But I'm very awoke to what is going on, and I hope that I've been able to prove this, although I think I jumped around a little bit too much. But this is a big spider web, really, if you want to call it anything. It's everywhere, and to lead you to where it all starts and ends, you kind of have to go everywhere. So if some of you lost me, I apologize, but it's a very complex thing. I mean, this is a vast, deep-seated conspiracy. I hate to use the term, but I mean, it's no longer a conspiracy theory when it's proven true, right? You know, this fictional character that people say, oh, all these WikiLeaks, or who's this guy? He doesn't pay Black Lives Matter. He absolutely does. It's all over the web. You can find the proof yourself. It's in the WikiLeaks documents. All this whole narrative, this whole white supremacy, oppression, the whites are bad, the rich men are evil, capitalism is evil, white men are evil, praise be to, you know, the Muslims are good, illegals are good, minorities are good, immigrants are good, liberals are good, Black Lives Matter is good, everyone else bad, no bad, media. Are you going to really sit there and listen to what your TV tells you? Are you in the Matrix? Do you not have a brain? Do you not have independent thought? Research on your own. Don't sit there and listen to what your college professor has to tell you, that old hippie in college, or whoever it is in front of you, that crazed person's getting paid like 100 times more than your mom or dad makes to sit there and try to teach you a bunch of liberal crap that isn't even true. When I've sat here and in 30 minutes of basically giving you the whole picture, the whole game on what's going on. I mean, some of these people are so crazy. They are so bought on this whole agenda, lock, stock, and barrel. This is from Reddit. People have to die. Anti-Trump protesters calls for violence on CNN. These people want blood. This is not good. This is very unfortunate that because of an election, because this is history in the making, people. Never before in the history of America has an election gotten this violent. Not when Mitt Romney ran, not when Bush ran, not when McCain ran, not when Obama won, not during Al Gore and Bush, not during the Clintons, even when Bill Clinton himself was in office. This never happened. Why is this all of a sudden such a big freaking deal? Why is there so much violence? People are being hurt. They're dying. Kids are getting shot. Cops are getting shot. Innocent people are dying because of these lunatics that are listening to these puppets paid by George Soros. This man should be a James Bond villain. He is the real-life incarnation of a James Bond villain. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I mean, we might as well say that Florida is now racist because they didn't vote Democrat. Might as well say that Pennsylvania is now Democrat, or I'm sorry, now racist because they didn't vote Democrat. Might as well say that all the key battleground states, sorry guys, you're all racists because you didn't vote blue. How fucking stupid and childish is this? This is no different than a 5-year-old picking and choosing who he wants in his clubhouse because you're not cool. There's just no difference between the logic the media is using right now to call who's racist and who's not, aka Mr. Van Jones, White Lash, the real face of racism and communists right here. You want to see racism in today? You want to see all this racism Black Lives Matter is trying to find? It's right here with this motherfucker.
They're afraid of how do I explain this to my children? I have Muslim friends who are texting me tonight saying, should I leave the country? I have families of immigrants that are terrified tonight. This was many things. This was a rebellion.
So it doesn't matter whether, so basically anybody who came here legally, any U.S. citizen, anybody who's not an immigrant, this election's all about the dreamers, right? They're going to bed terrified. Maybe you shouldn't have come here illegally. Hello. This doesn't happen anywhere else. This doesn't happen in any other country, anywhere on this planet Earth, except the United States. If you or I go to Russia, we're going to be sent to jail and kicked out. If you try to go to Mexico, you probably won't ever come back because of all the urban myths and legends you see there. It actually happened to a Marine. He was in jail for a year simply because he got turned around and didn't have his passport. They didn't give him a free job. They didn't give him an Obama phone. They didn't give him a vote. Nobody gave a fuck about that man. They made an example out of him. But somehow, because the immigrants are here, and the people who are less fortunate than you should have more rights than you. See, they're the future America. You're not, because you're a white racist. You have white privilege. This is the real face of racism right here. This is probably a communist supporter, probably paid by George Soros, being paid a lot of money to sit here and try to divide America further. White bad, black good. White bad, immigrant good. White bad, minority good. White bad, Democrat good. White bad. Do I need to keep going on with this?
Rebellion against the elites.
Rebellion against the elites. Really, have you seen a WikiLeaks email what the elites want to do to this country?
True. It was a complete reinvention of politics and polls. It's true. But it was also something else. We've talked about race. I mean, we've talked about everything but race tonight. We've talked about income. We've talked about class. We've talked about region. We haven't talked about race. This was a white lash.
No, what this was is we are tired of being stepped upon by a president who doesn't care about this country. He only cares about securing a vote. He doesn't even care about his own people that are in these sanctuary cities, the Democrat cities that are doing far worse than they ever have. Thanks for your vote. We'll see you in 4 years. Here's your Obama phone. Here's your, you can keep your doctor. No, wait, you can't keep your doctor. Here's your higher premiums. Here's even more crime. Here's even more violence. Black people, what do you have to lose by voting for Trump? But they're scared to death. I talked to somebody who said she knew that Hillary was the devil, yet she had to vote for Democrat anyway. These people's minds are so locked into believing that if they vote red or Republican, that they're somehow voting against their people. This is the division game. People like this, Mr. Van Jones, I hope somebody from CNN is watching this, because you should all be fucking shamed of yourself for letting somebody like this get up, get butthurt, and try to push that knife of division and racism further into the tube, the TV, because that's what this man has done. You already let somebody else go for feeding debate questions to Hillary Clinton. You may as well call the mainstream media Hillary Clinton's campaign, but we get somebody like this who has to call this racism.
White lash against a changing country.
Changing country.
It was a white lash against a black president in part. And that's the part where the pain comes. And Donald Trump has a responsibility tonight to come out and reassure people that he is going to be the president of all the people who he is.
Which he has. Have you seen his victory speech? I suggest you look it up. It'll be in the comments. I'm done with this idiot. And I'm done with this. And I'm done yelling at the microphone because, guys, I'm so passionate about this, sometimes I get carried away. I hope that I have reached out to somebody and helped you understand how you're being played, how you are part. If you're a social justice warrior, or you're somebody that's protested, or you happen upon this video because your friend said, you know, whatever, I hope that I'm able to reach out to you. And if you have questions, let me know. I'm available. Again, in closing, this has nothing to do with race, because the only colors that matter are red, white, and blue. This has nothing to do with privilege. This has nothing to do with social justice. This has nothing to do with any movement. This has everything to do with, I keep using this reference, James Bond style people out there who are very rich and very powerful, that seek to profit off of conflict, off of war, off of unrest, off of being able to destabilize and restructure America away from what it was to something that is profitable and suits their needs, not the needs of you or I. And somebody like Trump that comes along and disrupts that and awakens the silent majority. America has spoken. This isn't something that Lady Gaga or Miley Cyrus or T.I. can guide your thought through. You have to look at this and see that there is a process. It's not racism if Asians, women, black, Hispanics, white people, old people, young people, all people voted for this man of all race, color, and creed. This wasn't just white people, as the New York Times would have you believe, that I believe is responsible for things like this happening and things like this happening. It's time to bind the wounds, guys, and get over these old hatreds. You can't listen to the mainstream media and understand what's going on. You can't listen to the radio. You can't listen to a talk show. You can't listen to a rap star, hip-hop artist. Because I have her on Instagram, and I see all the crazy, dumbass shit that these Hollywood stars and artists say, and I sit there and post pictures of them crying. Give me a fucking break. How do you think somebody like me felt for the last 8 years? The forgotten voice of America, because somehow I had white privilege and I'm a white person, therefore racist. I'm a white male, therefore bad. I have money, therefore bad. Give guys, come on. It's got to stop. Wake up. Wake up. This fight isn't over yet. They're still going to try to do stuff. They're still going to try to get people to protest, to cause violence, to legitimize their movement, because they don't know what losing is. They don't know how to lose. They've been so used to getting away with this. They finally got too cocky. They got busted. Now it's game over. All right, guys. Well,